everyone, this is Nemesis, and I got another review for you guys. This is the Iron Factory IF-EX22 Attackers War Giant, Part A. This is our Armorboar and Bazooka Hound. Yes, Armorboar, Bazooka Hound, I believe. Yes, and yep, that's them. This is the box. It's a very white box, actually. It's a pretty large box for the two of them. As you can see, you got the two figures on there, and you got a little window for the two of them. Iron Factory's logo up there. Up here, you got a picture of them, plus Iron Factory 2017. On the bottom, you got warnings and whatnot. Made in China. On the side, you got, oh, hey, look, it's Armorboar on the side. Back, you got Bazooka Hound, or on this side, you got Bazooka Hound, and then you got them on the back, various poses and whatnot, and a QR code. And there are also their actual names. So, it's an Iron Factory box. This is the second one I got of those two. And of course, in there you also have the instructions. They're both instructions, both of them on one sheet of paper. Very large sheet. It's actually pretty easy to see. I actually like these instructions. It's pretty easy to figure out. They also even have a little special set of instructions for a specific step on Armorboar, because there's a particular thing you have to do. They also come with, on top of the stuff all here, and they also come with these. This is the feet and whatnot. See this? It's and this is apparently supposed to hitch up to their version of Onslaught. Got little wheels and everything. And you also got these right here. They just fold out. They become ramps for that, and these fold open and everything. These wheels, these ones right here on this side are super tight and kind of scary to move around. And now that I've done that, it's almost impossible for me to get those open. These are also pretty tight, but not as tight. I can still get my finger in there and slowly work them out. I can do that still, but this one's super tight. That's the thing about this set, is just a lot of stuff is like tighter than what's comfortable. Also, these can split apart. And once you split them apart and drop them on the floor, I'm doing this frequently now. Yeah, you split them apart, you have to swap them around, because the wheels go on the inside of the feet for Bruticus, or War Giant. Anyway, this is their foot mode, and we'll get back to that in a second. But yeah, these two. Go ahead and look at a Bazooka Hound, which I guess is fitting considering this is a very large gun. But yeah, it's a little Hummer thing, type thing. It's, got little four-wheel wheels. It rolls pretty well. Go ahead and adjust the camera a little bit for this. Yeah, it rolls pretty well, all things considered. It's got painted taillights and windows and headlights and a grill and everything. And it's pretty nice looking. It's a nice tan color. It's got this little roof rack, which you can attach the guns to. The thing is, yeah, this bazooka thing, not the greatest connection, because this is kind of thin. This is kind of a thin thing going in a round hole, so what's happening is it's not the greatest connection in the first place, so it can wiggle itself pretty out. This one holds in very nice and tight. See that? Those two. It's two guns. They can both peg into that roof rack here. And it's pretty simple. Yeah. It's obviously supposed to be swindle. It's not a weird Jeep-looking thing, which, might upset some people, but I'm not too cut up about it. Yeah, it's nicely picked out here. You can just see, it's just a pretty nice looking little military truck. I like it. And it rolls pretty well. This is, of course, Armorboar. Yeah, this is Armorboar. You can see it's a tank. It's a significantly bigger than well, not significantly, but it's a good chunk wider than him. And so, yeah, it doesn't have any wheels or anything on the bottom. There's no wheels here, so it just kind of, there's no rolling. These are his guns, which, he can use later, but yeah, they can attach, there's ports here and here. You can attach them back here as well if you want. Or you can, believe you can even attach them up here. Maybe. Those holes are a little small, though. Yeah, you can kind of attach them up there, too. It's not the greatest. I'm not sure if I would do that too much, but yeah, you can attach those pretty nicely. The turret actually does, and it's also a very nice military green. It's just very much green and black with little bits of silver and gray here and there. Yeah, it can rotate full 360, which is nice. It's actually on a little peg system, and the turret can go up and down. So that's actually really nice, even if it doesn't have wheels or anything. A little weird, but I don't mind it too much. I know some people prefer the tanks without wheels, but yeah, there you go. Wheels. And it gives it, of course, a part of a combiner because it's part of the Combaticon team. To get these two into leg mode is actually pretty simple. With this one, what you want to do is just pull the hood up. And then here, these little tabs back here, and he's the right foot of Bruticus. So what I do is take this one. They're different. You can see this has tab slots. These have actual tabs. This one is for the tank. That's for Armorboar. What you do is take these little tabs, line them up. You gotta also move this thing back. Line them up and tab it into the bottom here. And then this little thing, there's a big long tab here, slots, and there's a little slot right here. Just slot that in, and that holds it in securely, and that's his foot. That's a foot. And then eventually the rest, like Onslaught, will go into here. With Bazooka or Armorboar here, what you do is you fold the turret up and you twist it around like that, and then tab it onto the foot. Tab it onto the foot. If it will cooperate, there we go. And then again, this little tab, there's a little slot there. You put it in. Right there, slot, and there you go. You got his other foot. And it's obvious it's going to have pretty nice articulation because, well, yeah, it's got an ankle tilt, a very deep ankle tilt, if I'm going to be honest. Very deep. He's even also got toe tilt. Although the thing is, because of the shape of these figures, I'm not sure how well this is. That's not going to get a whole lot of movement, but you get a little bit. So, yeah, their Bruticus is looking as going to be pretty posable, which is good, very good. Yeah, that's the feet. We'll get to the rest of it when the rest of the figures come out. Anyway, so probably robot mode. I'm going to go ahead and detach these guys from the feet here. Because, yeah, these feet are pretty much useless in robot mode, so I'm going to just put them off to the side. If Armorboar here will come off. Go on, guff. That has just a pretty sturdy connection. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start with Bazooka Hound. Look at that, the hood folded back down. We got to remove this roof rack too. You got to remove this. This has nowhere to go in a robot mode, unfortunately. It's like I can find. Then from there, what you got to do is take these side panels where the windows are and fold them down, both sides. Untab them, fold them down. Take the roof, fold those back like that. Then you take this whole back half. It's going to kind of run into itself. Tolerances are kind of iffy. What you want to do is, so you want to, fold the windshield down. Then you want to take this back half and just kind of rotate it back like this. Straighten it out. Take these parts that were on top of the vehicle. Move them down below like this. There's a little swivels, I guess. Yeah. Put those down. Split them apart. That's the lower half done. Then from there, we want to take the front. It's tabbed in right here. These two tabs right here. Take the front, pull it apart. That's probably going to be really tight, especially the first few times you do it. It'll loosen up a little bit over time. But yeah, put it in the back like that. It's a double hinge as well. So make sure if you can't get it folded flat like this, adjust the double hinge until you can. Then the arms here are tabbed in the side. You untab it from both sides. Move it up like this so it's clear of the backpack. Then here you split it in half, right here. Rotate this forward, straighten that out, and then rotate it around again. Put it back down. Not as low as before, but you want to bound down a little bit so it becomes a shoulder. Also this right here, you can fold down further. It'll flatten more against the shoulder. Same on this side. You want to split it apart right there. Rotate it and straighten it out, and rotate it again. Then put it back down. And the final piece, what you want to do, take this part, fold that out. The head's there. You get the head out all the way like that. You close it up. And you got Bazooka Hound in his robot mode. Like so. Armorboar here can be a little difficult. First thing first, take these feet, move them to the back, like that, and rotate them around. Rotate them. That. Then over here, you want to untab this. So, untab this one as well. This can be, again, pretty tight. Untab them both. Then from here, this is where things can get a little tricky. What you need to do is actually push down right here. There's these two spots right here and here on the hips. You have to push down on those whilst also untabbing it up here. And it's difficult, to say the least. If you will, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. Sometimes what I like to do instead is actually start working on the front half, even though that's not the direction to do. So what I do is start slowly working the front apart. So what I do is untab them from here, whilst also unfolding this part. I unfold that, and this as well. Fold those, then untab these from the sides, and rotate them backwards. And that more or less frees up the arms somewhat. And you can also take the chest piece here and fold it down. It'll tab into place. Right there's little tabs. Tab into place. Fold the head up. Then you split the legs. And this is what I do. I like to take the waist piece and I use that as leverage, and that will point that up. I'm going to see if I can get that on camera, but do that, and it'll point it up just a little bit, just enough so you can actually unfold the legs. You have to do it that way, you will break something. And unfold the legs. Like that. Unfold the heels like that. Little heel pieces. Unfold them. There's little slots there in the feet. You can use to get your fingernail in those. Then rotate the whole waist around. Make sure the head is completely folded out. And there you go. You got Armorboar in his robot mode. And a little note as well, on top of the legs being kind of crazy, the instructions tell you that in the instructions, when it tells you to go back to tank mode, when it tells you to fold this chest piece up, and then when you do so, you're supposed to rotate the head around. Don't bother trying. It's really difficult. It's almost impossible, in fact. This head is so tight and in such a little tiny space, it's impossible to really get in there and actually get a grip on the head in such a way you can actually fold it or rotate it around. I'd say it's almost impossible, really just not worth the effort. So personally, don't bother with that part. So ignore that. Yeah, so ignore that step. Just move on if you can't get it done. If yours is loose enough, congratulations. You're very, very lucky. Yeah, these are the robot modes, though. As you can see, there's actually quite a bit of a height difference between the two. A good head's worth, really. Head and a half, really. And that's actually impressive that this guy gets so much bigger height-wise than this guy does. This guy stays pretty small. Partially, I think it's mostly because of the legs, honestly. But it's actually pretty impressive because this is the guy's actually the second tallest on this Iron Factory's Combaticon team. So it's actually pretty impressive. Of course, once again, weapons. They can hold them. He's got this little handle right here. He can hold it in his hand. Kind of emulating the large cannon that Swindle had somewhat, although not on the side of his arm. And of course, he can hold his little pistol thing in his other hand. And his dual guns. He's got two handles, but he's got the back handle, which is supposed to go here, and once again, here as well. I like to have the little inner handles. These handles can actually rotate, which is kind of neat. Yeah, I like to have them pointing inward, though. They're kind of, I guess, like clips at that point. They're like, yeah, the ammo clips or magazines or whatever you want to call them. I'm not a gun expert. But they're actually a pretty nice little thing. My biggest complaint overall, though, is they're really tight. The joints are too tight. They're scary tight. They're the kind of hold your breath and hope it doesn't break tight. I'm a little worried, particularly with the clearances. Here with the legs folding up for vehicle mode or vice versa, and him with just, well, the legs again, and then you kind of have to do things a little out of order just so you can get to the legs so you can actually unfold them without breaking them thing, and the head too, going back. You can't really do what they tell you to do. It's just, a lot of these joints are too tight for their own good. I'm a little worried about that. Hopefully they'll wear down a little bit as time goes on so that it's a little easier. I mean, some stuff has, like, it's a lot easier to mess with this backpack, the hood. It is easier for me now to untab and everything than it used to be. That's worn down a little bit. That's good. That's my biggest problem, is they're too tight. So yeah, it's a little scary. I'm just always a little afraid that one day I'm just going to hear a snap, and that's that. And also this thing right here, that's my other thing problem. This doesn't really go anywhere when he's in robot mode. Just kind of, you have to just put it off to the side, unfortunately. That's really unfortunate. I just find that a little unfortunate. But getting into looks, I'm going to go to Bazooka Hound here. Yeah, it's very much Swindle. I mean, you can see he's got a purple chest plate and everything. His purple torso, silver highlighting. He's got nice silver face there with it's kind of a silvery face with I'm going to move this up a little tiny bit. There you go. With purple eyes. You can see that. Yeah, you can see the purple eyes, silver face, really nice. Again, purple chest with silver detailing, mostly the tan color, and then again more, I guess, dark silver, dark gray detailing on the feet here, and black as well. Yeah, it's a really nice look. It's very evocative of Swindle, with I guess a little bit of a twist to it. I like how this guy looks actually overall. It's a pretty nice little figure. It's also kind of like one of the shorter ones. I believe. Yeah, it's kind of nice. He can hold his weapons pretty well. He just looks really nice no matter almost no matter what pose I put him into. He looks really nice. Armorboar here, again, very predominantly green with a little bit of purple here on the chest or abdomen. A little bit of silver there as well. Again, mostly green. Some black here. Silver. A little bit more silver. Again, head. His head there is silver faceplate, red eyes. I like that. Blacks and greens again. Little tiny bit of silver right there on the foot. You can see that. You can see that little bit of silver there, or gray. So yeah, he's mostly green with just little tiny bits of other highlighting. And again, they both look really nice. They both look like he looks like a lot like Brawl and everything. They just look like they're, who they're supposed to look like, but they're not slavish to them. And I like that. Posability, though, their heads are on these tiny little ball joints. His is, easy to get to, and it's mostly left and right. You can kind of get a little bit up and down because the platform is on. It's just a little bit. I'm actually not sure it's ball joint. I think it might actually be swivel. It's hard to tell. It's okay. It's a ball joint. I think it might be. That might be. It's hard to tell because of the way it transforms. It has to, it goes on this platform. But it actually might just be a swivel. Might be wrong about that. But anyway, it goes mostly left and right. It's a little hindered thanks to the sculpting on the shoulders or on the upper chest here. Just kind of stops. Shoulders really tight. Again, ball. I think those are ball joints. They're really tight, but there's multiple joints there. There's this swivel. There's a ball joint there and a swivel. So you can use both of those in tandem. It goes about there, and then you can just go further with the swivel. It goes forward. It goes forward, full rotation, but the backpack kind of in the way, going backwards. He's got this double joint, so it's a ball joint, so that doubles as the bicep swivel. Plus, because of the double joint, his arm can curl up pretty far. Although then you got it. The only thing stopping is really the sculpting here, because that's about as far as it goes. If it wasn't for the sculpting, it would go full curl. But because of the sculpting, you can't. He does have a waist swivel, though. Pretty nice one. This is pretty nice. He got ball jointed hips, so forward movement, backwards movement pretty far. Outwards movement is all the way. He's got a thigh swivel. He's got knees, which because of the way they transform, a very deep curl. That's a very deep one. It's pretty much high. He pretty much sucks his whole leg into the upper leg and the lower leg. And thanks to his transformation and everything, he's got ankle tilts, pretty significant ones, and they can go forward and back, like this, as you need them to, which is good. So he's actually got quite a bit of posability, especially for this little dude. Yeah, So he's actually, yeah, again, really nice posability. I'm pleasantly surprised with how posable he is. And of course, Armorboar, mostly the same. His head's a little difficult to get to. It's a very tight. I think this is a ball joint, but it's very tight and very difficult to get to. But you can't, and he's limited by, again, his sculpting. His shoulders, though, they can move. They're on ball joints. They can move forward and back pretty easily. They can move to the side, and then they stop because, well, they hit the head and everything. So that's about how far out they can go. They have a dedicated bicep swivel, though. Unlike him, he has just ball joints. Dedicated bicep swivel. He's got a little hinge here, which you can curl about that far. Oh, I almost forgot. This guy, he does have wrist swivels. They are there. See that? I almost forgot about those. But he does have wrist swivels, which also, yes, Armorboar does have wrist swivels as well. You can see that. So that's good. Again, waist move. This guy's waist initially was actually so tight that it did not move when I first got out of the box. But he does have it. It's just I was afraid he didn't have one. But the instruction told me to turn it around. I was like, okay. And there it was. So yeah, just be careful of that. Again, too tight. Ball jointed hips. Forward. Back pretty far. Outward all the way. Thigh swivels, which are really tight to the point of it. Yeah, there's molding. There's a molding thing, and it's just it's working itself off the mushroom peg. Yeah, so there's some weird molding issue where it's with this particular mushroom, this thigh swivel, unfortunately. Knees got a pretty deep curl. If you transform it, use this transformation joint, you can get a all the way curl. Just you got to reset it properly. He does have ankle tilts. They're not as big as they don't go as far as Bazooka Hounds. There's a little bit of there's a little tiny bit of ankle tilt though if you extend it right. There's about that much. You can see that, just a little tiny bit of ankle tilt. And he's got forward and back. He's got quite a bit of backwards movement for the foot, and he's also got a tiny bit of forwards movement, and you can also use the heel as a bit of a joint as well. So again, they have pretty roughly equivalent, they have more or less equivalent to articulation. It's just a tiny little things here and there, which kind of, just little things here and there, which kind of separate them. I almost forgot here, Armorboar, you can actually remove the turret entirely. It's just pegged in, and you can use the peg on the gun so he can hold it as either like a shield or a really big gun. And then you can also, if you need to, just store the other gun back here if you're not, so it's just, stays out of the way. Plus they got these little holes, which are good for Tamashii stages, I believe. Yes. So they got that. And yeah, it's actually a pretty nice little bit of articulation in this guy. And plus he's got a little bonus weapon if you're willing to use it as such. It's actually pretty nice. That's there. So, yeah, that's the articulation part done. Right, so this is my second Iron Factory set, really. And I still really like it. My biggest problem, again, is just absurdly tight joints to the point of I'm a little afraid of moving it. I'm a little afraid of transforming them at times. It's just, they're too tight sometimes. That's my big thing. The transformation is a little crazy because of tolerance issues, particularly with the legs on both of them. But articulation, these are nice little Legends figures that they look great, and the articulation's pretty phenomenal for figures them size. And I've seen the pictures of the full War Giant, and I am really excited to get the rest of these guys. So these two are really nice on their own. It's $70 for the 2-pack. And I know a lot of people are balking at that price, especially since if you do that, it's going to be $210 for the full set. And I understand why people are a little like, oh, geez, a little hesitant at that price. I get it. But at the same time, these are unofficial third-party Legends class figures, which, go for about $25 to $35 a piece. So they come with all the accessories, including their guns and the feet pieces and all that stuff. And so at that price, yeah, I get it. At $70, I think it's worth it. Especially if you're into the Iron Factory or you want a little Legends combiner or whatever. If you're into the Legends scale, this is, I think, worth it. This is a amazing little product. And this is only the first of 3 parts. The other 2 parts still aren't out yet. But if, this is the sort of thing, hopefully they make the little improvements, to like the joint tightness. That's the biggest thing for me, is joint tightness. And that transformation on him is a little scary, this Kangstu. On both of them is a little scary, particularly at the legs. If they can fix that for the later releases, I'm hoping it's not a problem at all. These sets would be amazing. That's the one big thing. It's just too tight, guys. Too tight. And to the point of I'm afraid. And that's really the big thing about them. My criticism, and this doesn't really go anywhere in robot mode. At least I can find. If someone else knows, please let me know. I can't figure out a place for that to go. But other than that, again, really nice little Legend scale figures. And I think if you're into the Combaticons a lot, if you're a huge Combaticons fan, or you're just collecting the Legend scale stuff, this is definitely worth it. And it's going to be amazing when you get the final product with all 5 of them. 6 because of that bonus with the Onslaught. Yeah, so I think it's worth it. $70. I got mine for $60 on eBay. But if you can get it for $60, $70, totally worth it. I know there's one seller supposedly selling for like $160 for the whole set, which is a significant discount from the $210. I still think at $210, if they all maintain the quality of these 2 and make the minor improvements, it's definitely worth it. It's going to be an amazing little Bruticus on your shelf. Yeah. So I think it's worth it at $70. But just remember, it's kind of one of those things you're probably going to be all in. If you're going for these guys, you're going to go for the other 2 sets, which means another $70 and another $70, and you spent over $200. I personally think it's worth it. But what do I know? So yeah, that's my big long rambling thing. Negatives and positives and all that stuff. The negatives only really come down to really just, I think the joints are some of the stuff is way too tight and really needs to be loosened for future releases. Other than that, though, yeah. But anyway, I hope you found this informative or entertaining. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe, one or all 3 of those things. And I hope you'll join me for another video soon. Should be one coming out soonish, hopefully. And yeah, until then, I'll see you next time.